My name is Mark Fowler. I'm the lead pastor at First Church in Madison. We're entering Pride Month all throughout the world. I'm still very moved that I can stand as the pastor of a church in which all still means all. With the announcement that the General Conference of the United Methodist Church had been postponed for another year, and the key issue of the denomination's division around the inclusion of LGBTQIA persons is the issue that will sadly divide us. I think back to the special general conference that was held the last time I taught a course and led students there, and I met a new professor that had come to Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, Rolf Nalesko. He'd come after my tenure at Garrett and as I had assumed the pastorate here at First Church. Shortly after meeting him, and he had come to the General Conference to take psychological care, spiritual care of our students there as the church was tearing itself apart over the issue of inclusion of all of God's children. It came out with a wonderful book, God's Beloved Queer. It's a shocking title or a comforting title, subtitled Identity, Spirituality, and Practice. As our church maintains fervently the inclusion of all of God's children, especially LGBTQIA persons, I thought I would share with you a little bit of the introduction to this book as the focus of our devotion today. Rolf writes, "Yes, you are loved as you are, and your love is as pure and genuine and true as the love of another. So let us celebrate this love that mirrors the consummate love of Christ, a victimless, gratuitous, and creative love that declares with such delightful cheer that you are, without a doubt, God's beloved queer." Rolf writes, "I want to start our journey together with this bold claim, perhaps, to set the stage of what is to come in the pages following. Love is the beginning point of this journey. It is also the destination. I would like to end up in this destination. It is not love wins per se, as that phrase seems to signal that there are winners and losers in the game of love. And for most of us, there is enough pain to speak of, since we have been barred from or are always on the losing end of this game, as our love is considered defective, distasteful, and an aberration of the right kind of love. Love perseveres is more apt, it seems, because in the face of all that there is, still that part, albeit small or obscure, that remains steadfast to this is love. Hidden or flickering, and even dangerous as this may feel at times, our desire to love cannot be maimed because we are created in love, for love, and to love, created by God, whose affections toward us defies human logic, defies human categories, defies expectations. God is love, and you and I are part of this ever-expanding love that seeks to flourish us all in all, always possible." I want to take a moment to say that when I posted the beginning of Pride Month, there were friends on Facebook that I had known for a long time who, it is clear, are beginning to come out to themselves after a lifetime, a long lifetime, and that this is an important journey. And Rolf helps us very well. For many gay Christians, he writes, discovering our own erotic desires are oriented differently, not deficiently, can cause so much confusion and shame and fear, especially when seen through the lens of conservative and traditional teachings on human sexuality. The blast of uncompromising oppressive discourse on homosexuality renders our humanity, our thoughts, our feelings, our desires and longings, not just about our sexuality, but everything that constitutes our personhood, renders them all suspect, defective, and unacceptable. Inevitably, these teachings, which have also been accorded a divine status, lay doubt on the authenticity and veracity of our inmost desires to love and to know and to serve God. In other words, they've created a dissonance, a widening chasm between our bodily integrity and our deepest yearnings for the spiritual. Being gay is contradictory to being Christian sums up the core of these strange teachings to us, but those which predominate our denomination. Or do they? And the only acceptable expression of human sexuality is heterosexuality. And the only acceptable expression of human love is heterosexual love. So better man up and straighten up. Pun is intended by Rolf. If you want to be considered one of us. Is the enforced edict that when obeyed grants inclusion into the people of God only to heterosexuals? Am I issuing a cry of desperation? Perhaps. But it could also be a flicker of hope that can never be extinguished because it points to a reality far greater and more spacious and creative than that is given to the larger social world. For many, many years, I have wanted a book like this, a guide, a spiritual devotion, a reflection that confronts the reality of the oppression of a church which only speaks of heterosexuality as a way to love. It does not encompass the humanity, the love, the care, the justice, the sacrifice that I've encountered in a lifetime. And so I, as an ally, move into this Pride Month so very joyful that there can be a pride in being true to who one is and what God created a person to be. And so steadfastly sad that the church still, in 2021, will divide itself over this very issue. But also joyful that in this house in which I live, this congregation in which I find life, believes that all still means all. Straight, gay, queer, loving. In the end, God is love with no adjective. Jesus is incarnate love with no adjective. And called out for everyone he met the truth of their own experience and their soul, and corrected it to pure love. Happy Pride Month. Amen.